Which AFC South running back has become one of the most polarizing picks in July? What AFC handcuff might just have some standalone value for anyone who drafts him? And we play a Yaman or 9 with the skill guys in Cliff Kingsbury's Arizona offense. Plus, a dual winner in the Football Guys Players Championship, Mike Edelman, drops in to talk about his Football Guys drafts he's completed so far this summer, how he's going to try to win a free main event team in his Pros versus Joes draft, and much more. We've got a great show for you. Dave Gerzak is here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your high-stakes fantasy football hour starts now.
Your hands, everybody, if you got what it takes. Because I'm KRS and I'm on the mic.
Broadcast live and heard around the world, you are now listening to the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. It's the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for football analysis from the best fantasy players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak.
With the master rhymer, that's the lead behind the video rapper. You know, the chalk climber, tapper. Down goes another rapper, on to another one. Punch up to that,
Hey, thanks a lot, Rob. Greetings and salutations, all of you Balkaholics and Gerzak fanatics. Welcome to the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com. I am, of course, your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman, and my co-host is indeed the patron saint of fantasy football, the Dizzle, Dave Gerzak. Coming up on tonight's show, we're going to give you some advice on how we would handle Melvin Gordon and the other Chargers running backs in drafts. Plus, we're going to have Mike Edelman come on, and he is going to talk to us about his Pros versus Joes plan of attack, as well as his Football Guys Players Championship draft that he's already done this summer. So it's going to be a very, very exciting show. Shout out to the chat room right now. You can connect with us there or on Twitter at HSFFhour, at Eric Balkman, or at David Gerzak. Mike Edelman is actually on Twitter at Edelman24. Facebook.com/HSFFhour, 347-426-3682. That's 347-GAME-OVA. highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com is where to reach us. If you have any questions for us, now's the time to send them. Chat room questions, tweets, and emails all get answered in the fantasy feedback segment coming up in the second half of the show with our audio engineer and mutual friend, our audio engineer and best friend, Bryce, and our mutual friend and producer, Rob. Thank you so much. That is the Dizzle voice. He's here tonight. We're very excited. Once again, only 5 days left to get your FFPC main event early draft slots. 5 days. That's coming up on that deadline, so you can get that before July 29th. Start plotting your way to a $500,000 grand prize while still in July. As always, dynasties, best balls, and classics, all available, superflexes as well. And Terminator, we should mention this, Terminator Satellites, now available at myffpc.com. So check that out. Let's bring in tonight's guest. He's played high-stakes fantasy football for more than 15 years and has won league titles in auctions, best ball leagues, and Football Guys Players Championships. In the FFPC in 2018 alone, he made the playoffs in all 3 of his main event leagues. He finished 2nd and 3rd in 2 of them while also winning a Football Guys League. Today, he's here to talk about the FPC leagues he's already completed this summer, as well as his upcoming draft in the 2019 FFPC Pros vs. Joes Challenge. You follow him on Twitter at Edelman24. Please welcome into the show Mr. Mike Edelman. Man, how are you doing tonight? Welcome in.
Good. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. How are you doing?
Very excited. We are on the precipice of the Pros vs. Joes Challenge, which will get underway here in, well, Sunday, really. So we're only 4 days away from that. That is going to be a lot of fun. You'll be participating in the festivities this year. We'll get into that shortly. But, Mike, can you tell the listeners what you're doing for a living when you're not playing fantasy football and fantasy sports, really?
Sure. Yeah. Like, as you mentioned, I'm a big fantasy football and fantasy baseball player. But when I'm not doing that, nowadays, I'm a finance director at a medical device company in the New York, New Jersey area. When I'm not working, I'm usually spending most of my time on the baseball field with my kids, coaching their teams.
Dave, I know you don't have any baseball questions for Mike, but I'm not sure if finance is tripping your trigger at all tonight either. We can move on. We don't need to dwell on that. That's no problem. Let's get into to the fantasy football portion of the show, Mike. Now, in one of the Football Guys leagues that you had drafted, I think this was roughly a week and a half ago, somewhere around there. It was early July. You selected Titans running back Derrick Henry at the 212. Now, that's nearly a full round higher than where he had been going in FFPC leagues. I know that you knew that you weren't getting a chance to get him again if you passed on him at the 212-301. But when you were looking at who to pick there, why did Derrick Henry's name stick out as a guy you wanted to make part of your roster?
Yeah, so I think a big part of it was, like you mentioned, when you're picking on a turn like that, you have to take chances and take guys who you like, and they're not going to come back. And I've only done 2 drafts thus far this year, and I had done one prior where I had a top 5 pick, and I didn't like what, taking a receiver, I didn't like what came back on the 4 or 5 turn on the running back. So I made the decision I was going to go 2 running backs there at the 2-3 turn. And I like Henry this year. He's not one of those guys historically that I've drafted. I've actually probably never drafted him before this year, but it's all about the circumstance. I like that they finally went to him at the end of last year. He's got the talent. And I think this is his year to break out, and I'm all about that at that pick.
Yeah, no question, and I think he's been we'll get into him later on in the show too, but I think he's been a pretty polarizing guy as we move forward through fantasy draft season. A lot of people are believers in that stretch run, and a lot of people aren't so sure about it yet. Mike, obviously you are on pro Henry, no question about that, and we'll see what happens in pros versus Joes, because you might have to make a similar decision when it comes to your pick in the 2nd and 3rd rounds. You had an interesting 4th through 6th round picks in one of these FPCs. You go and grab 3 potential breakout receivers, really. DJ Moore, Mike Williams from the Chargers, and then Dante Pettis in San Francisco. Did you have a favorite pick out of those trio of pass catchers, a guy that you were really happy to get on your squad?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think in that ballpark of receivers, you have DJ Moore and Mike Williams, who I picked, but you also have Calvin Ridley and Chris Godwin, who went a few picks before. We're all very similar receivers, right? They're all looking to take the next step and be the breakouts, and those are all the guys who are going in that range. Now, those 4 guys, I like them all. I mean, I think they all have a good chance to break out. I would be happy with any of them, really. I went with DJ Moore and Mike Williams at that pick. Those were just kind of the 2 where the coin landed there. I'm still kind of going through everything to decide as we get closer and closer to the bigger drafts, which way I may lean. But as of now, I would say, all of those guys, I'm liking at this point.
Sounds good. I, of course, love DJ Moore. Balky, which one do you like?
Out of those 3, DJ Moore is my favorite. You know what, Dave? I know you got a question for Mike, but let me follow this up. He's going way later than DJ Moore. He's a real-life teammate of his. Do you like Curtis Samuel at all as a potential, semi-breakout this year? He's going, and I'll bring this up right now, as far as FFPC best ball drafts go right now, Curtis Samuel isn't going until the 10:02 on average. Is that a place that you'd be comfortable taking Curtis Samuel this year, Mike?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think he has upside as well. I like that offense in general. The big playability, and I'd absolutely in the 9th, 10th round, I think Curtis Samuel is definitely a worthwhile pick there.
Yeah, I totally agree. Curtis Samuel has actually had kind of similar production to DJ Moore when they were on the field. There were a number of games that they pretty much played most of the time, and he was pretty productive. So next question is about an 8th round pick you had in a Football Guys Player Championship game a week ago, and that was Jalen Samuels. He's been kind of creeping up draft boards as you hear kind of people talking about he and Connor splitting time, with Connor probably doing a 60-40 split. Do you think FFPC owners are underestimating the standalone value of Jalen Samuels, even if Connor stays healthy?
I'm not sure. I was on the Connor train last year. So, that Pittsburgh running back in that offense, I think you want a piece of it. So, if Connor's healthy, okay, yeah, maybe Samuels could be kind of the bye week fill-in, an 8 to 10 point guy if he's getting 3 to 4 catches a game. I'm not 100% sure if that's going to happen or not, but I honestly, I like Connor as a player. The way he plays, though, I just don't see him staying healthy for an entire season. And when he misses a game or 2 or 3, I think you're going to want Samuels. And, in these kind of contests, you're looking to try and build that roster that could win the overall. And he's the type of player that, I would pick in that range. I'd take a shot on him because of the offense and historically what the running backs produce there.
Dave, I know you're a fan of Jalen Samuels in general, not even just in 2019, right?
Yeah, last year we were all hyping up Jalen Samuels as a player that should be taken. He was I think he was a 5th round pick as a rookie, but we were talking about taking Samuels in dynasty drafts before it became cool, and hopefully a bunch of people did that.
Before it became cool, I like that. That's and not at all inaccurate on that, no question. Mike Edelman is our guest tonight, ladies and gentlemen, on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour. A winner of a ton of cash over the years, already with a pair of football guys, league championships under his belt, and certainly did excellent in all 3 of his main event leagues last year, placing in the playoffs in all of them. Let's get back to the football guys draft that you had done in early July, Mike. When you're trying to beat out a bunch of people to win a 6-figure prize, like in the FPC, or a $500,000 grand prize, like the FFPC main event this year, do you find yourself leaning towards younger, higher upside, lower floor type guys? Or when you're on the clock, are you not necessarily thinking about that? You're just trying to draft the best player available?
I think it's a combination, honestly. Early in the draft, I'm definitely trying to draft the best player available. I'll look for value. I'll try and go get the players. Now, when I say that, I want explosive players. But later in the draft, especially when you get past round 7 and 8, something I like to say to myself, even if I know what I'm going to pick, before I make the pick, I just look at who I'm thinking between the 2 guys, and I just say, can this guy win me the league? If he can't, then I probably won't take him. A good example of that with me, with what I did last year, was with Andrew Luck. He was falling in a lot of drafts, and you could get him past around 10. And when I would ask myself that question for Andrew Luck, I'm like, could he win me the league, or can he win me the overall? Absolutely. So I picked him everywhere. So it's that kind of back and forth I'll do with myself when I'm looking to make my decisions on who I want to pick.
All right, so here since you said, can he win me the league? Can he win me the overall? And I think I know the answer. But you think that Jamison Crowder, catching passes from Sam Darnold this year in New York, could be a league winner? And I mean an overall. All right, I'm baiting you a little bit.
$500,000.
$500,000 winner, Jamison Crowder.
I don't think so. I'm sure he could be productive. I mean, Jamison Crowder's. I try not to, boycott guys or hold anything against guys who've hurt me in the past. But I've always been very high on Jamison Crowder, and he seems to let me down every year. And now the last 2 years he's gotten hurt, so I feel like the injury-prone tag is there with him a little bit. He's coming to a new team, new offense. He could come out there and be good. I don't know, though. I mean, his ceiling to me is 70 to 75 catches in a good year. That's my view on it. I don't think he'll be much more than that, especially with the other pieces the Jets have. So I would say no. He could be a good bye week fill-in, a good flex for later in the season, but I'm not looking at him as someone who would be able to help me win the league.
Crowder is a guy who's battled the injury bug over the years as well. FFPC players are taking him in best ball drafts, currently at the 1703. That is right behind Mecole Hardman, Kenny Stills, and Paris Campbell. It is right ahead of Traquan Smith, John Brown, Devontae Parker, and Andy Isabella. So certainly you do not have to invest a whole lot in him, but you may not get much of a return, as you so eloquently put it, Mike. You are coming up, let's see, we are 11 days away from your personal Pros versus Joe's draft. You're in the You Will Lose League, number 4, on July 28th. I was actually on Rotoballer Radio this morning on Sirius XM, and Josh Hayes is actually in this draft as well. He's picking 8th. He looked at all the Pros versus Joes draft, and he says this is the PVJ of death in this one. You are actually going to be drafting right in between. You're drafting 3rd. Right in between Jake Seeley from The Athletic, John Paulson from 4for4. Evan Silva is also in this draft. Obviously, Josh Hayes, Matt Shaw from Draft Sharks. Michael Salfino from The Athletic is in this draft as well. And a couple of former guests on the show, Brian Petrunik, Biplab Mandel in this league as well. So it's going to be – this will be a fun draft to follow. And I'm curious, as you look at where you sit here picking 3rd, is there a player that you're hoping falls to you? What are you thinking you're going to do with that 3rd pick in this draft, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, when you have a top 3, 4, 5 pick, I mean, there's really no thinking involved with that. I think, whichever the top running backs is there, that's who I'm going to take with the first pick. Whether it's McCaffrey, Barkley, Kamara, Zeke, one of those guys. I'll be happy with any of them, to be honest. And then we'll just see how it plays out. It's going to be a tough league, so we'll have to make some decisions. Honestly, I've never done a Pros vs. Joes, or actually a draft champions format with the FFPC. So this is my first one. So, hopefully the pros don't come and get me, and I can hold my own.
I think you'll be just fine in that, Mike. You've won. You might be okay. You've won plenty of these best ball leagues before, regardless of FFPC format or not. So I think you're going to be good. Just as a follow up to that, do you have a preference in those top 4 running backs? Say if you did have the number 1 overall pick, would you be taking Barkley? Would you be taking McCaffrey? Is there a way that is there a favorite among those top 4 that you have, or do you basically rank them right around all the same?
I have McCaffrey 1, so I would go McCaffrey 1 for sure. After that, it's a little closer. Depending how the wind's blowing that day, I could change. At this point, I haven't kind of put my foot in the ground yet on how I want to go with 2, 3, 4. Especially with Zeke, you got to kind of see what's going on with him. With all this contract noise now, but between Barkley and Kamara, I think it's pretty close right now. So I'm, whoever's there, whatever's left over, that's most likely the way I would go.
All right, we scarcely a week goes by without mentioning Tyreek Hill, so let's bring him up. So what's your read on the Chiefs wideout situation? We don't really know what the suspension is. It's been rumored to 2 to 4 to 6 to 8 games, but seemingly a little bit on the lower end right now. Between Tyreek Hill and Mecole Hardman, how are you handling those guys in your draft? Are you trying to target Tyreek? He seems, even if he's a 2 or 4 game suspension, he still seems like a little bit of a value to me, just, kind of reading his tea leaves. What's your take on that?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, it's an offense you want to be invested in, right? But, I can't pick Tyreek until I know what the deal is with him. What's the suspension going to be? Is there going to be one? It could be great value right now, but, until I know, I won't touch him. I will compare it, to years ago, the first time Josh Gordon got suspended. He was a league winner that year with his 2 or 3 game suspension. He came back and dominated. Could be the same with Tyreek Hill. Once that's defined, if it's 4 games, then maybe I'll start to think about where I would pick him, whether it's in the 4th or 5th round. Who knows? Maybe he'll start to move up once it's defined. But until it's defined, he's a do not draft for me until I know more. In terms of the other KC guys, I've picked Hardman already, but it's one of those things where I think we need camp to start, and we need to see what's going on with OTAs. There was some noise about, some other receivers doing well. They have a couple other receivers there. It could be any, Sammy Watkins could get hurt again, so there could be a lot going on there. Whoever it turns out to be, wherever it looks like who's getting the reps, I'm going to want that player. It's just a matter of who it's going to be.
Yeah, and to your point right now, I mean, Tyreek Hill continues to climb a little bit. It seems like he goes up a little bit every single time we do a show. He is currently going at the 405 in FFPC best balls over the last 3 days. He's gone as high as the 302. He's fallen to the mid-5th. Mecole Hardman is, you can get him pretty late. At 1701 is where he's looking at right now. Sammy Watkins, actually, his ADP's largely remained, basically similar at the 6'11", 6'11 to 702 is where I've seen him. 6'11 is where he's going right now in best ball drafts. So it seems like players are not, moving him up or knocking him down. It's just been this whole complementary relationship between Hill and Hardman, and certainly Hardman is falling right now. Hill is on the rise. Mike Edelman is on the rise tonight as he joins the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour, a former multiple league champ in the Football Guys Players Championship, drafting in the FFPC Pros versus Joes in just 11 days. And we got a couple of emails that came in for you, Mike. I just want to read them to you right now and see if we can get you to answer a couple of these questions from listeners. First is from Garrett in Akron. Do you have any interest in any Giants not named Saquon Barkley this year, or are you avoiding him too, given how bad that offense might be with Manning or Jones running things? Good luck in Pros versus Joes, man. That is Garrett in Akron. Well, Mike, we already know you're not avoiding Saquon Barkley as you would take him in the top 4 pick. But as far as the other Giants go, are there any of those guys that you're targeting in drafts?
Yeah. So I live 15 minutes from MetLife. I'm a diehard Giants fan, so it pains me to see kind of what's happening there right now. Yeah, I mean, Evan Ingram, I think, is someone I would be considering, especially in the FFPC format. Also, I'm not targeting them, but at the right price, I could see going after Sterling Shepard. Someone's going to catch passes in that offense, right? With Beckham leaving, there's a lot of targets out there. And every week, I can almost guarantee you every single week, at least one guy in that offense is going to produce close to 100 yards. It's just a matter of figuring out who it is between Tate, Shepard, and Ingram. So I wouldn't shy away from them. I think in best balls, they're definitely worth taking flyers on at the right price.
Would you consider stacking 2 of those 3 or all 3 of those guys in a best ball with Tate, Shepard, and Ingram, or is it just you want to throw a dart at one of them and be done with it?
Yeah, I would probably not all 3 of them. Ingram +1 if the receiver is coming at a later cost. I would say, I'm not looking to do that, but if it falls that way, I wouldn't shy away from it.
Let's move on to one more email here from Jim in Lexington. He writes, Kentucky, excuse me. How are you handling the top 3 tight ends this year? Target one of them or avoid all 3? Thanks, Mike. That is Jim in Lexington, Kentucky. Thanks for the email, Jim. So your thoughts on Kelsey? It's weird to say that big 3 tight ends and Gronk not be one of them, but he's not this year. Kelsey, Ertz, and Kittle. How are you treating those guys in drafts? Are you trying to get one of them and not worry about tight end after that? Or are you just, taking a different approach?
Yeah, I mean, historically, I've always avoided the top tight ends. It's just not my style. Now, when talking about the 3 of them, I mean, Kelsey's great, and I think at the right price, if you were to slip and I had a later first rounder, I would, in this format, I would consider him for sure. I think Ertz and Kittle are definitely both passes for me, though. I they're both great players. At that ADP, though, I just can't talk myself into it. Especially, with Philly having, getting all these weapons, bringing in Deshaun, having another year of Goddard. I think there's a lot to go around there. I just don't see Ertz replicating what he did last year. He's still going to be probably the number 2 or 3 overall tight end. I don't know about round 2 for him. Same for Kittle. I think I will let someone else take the shot on him.
Travis Kelce, 106 currently in FFPC best balls. Ertz and Kittle are still second-round picks. Ertz going at the 207, Kittle at the 210. Then there is a drop-off. The next receiver on average going off the board is indeed O.J. Howard at the 407, followed closely by Hunter Henry and Evan Ingram. That is where the ADP is shaping up on that. Dave, Mike's been very gracious tonight. I know you probably got a zillion other drafts that you're worried about or prepping for, but we do have one final question before we let you go. Go ahead, Dave.
All right, Mike, we need you to give us some information. We're looking for a player you're staying away from in the early rounds this season. This is redraft, as well as a sleeper that you're looking to acquire in the mid to late rounds.
Okay. All right. So in terms of staying away from, I think it's more, rather than one player, I just think it's more of a kind of an approach with everything going on with the first round and a lot of the different guys right now. I mean, in general, if there's any player that's threatening a holdout or showing an injury, I'm just not taking them. So, right now, whether it's Gurley, Melvin Gordon, Zeke, until it gets resolved, I'm not touching them. And I have a personal rule. If anybody doesn't show up for training camp, I just don't take them because it's not good news. Historically, they get hurt all the time. Hamstring pulls. Something is going to happen if they don't show up for that first day of training camp. So maybe this changes, but, I'll wait for the next 2 weeks and see what happens. But the second one of them holds out, they're off my board. So that's what I would say for the early guys. In terms of a sleeper, so I guess, I like the Indy offense, so I guess I'll say Paris Campbell is someone that I like a little bit later that could break out. I mean, it might take a little bit, depending on how camp goes with injuries with some of the other guys they brought in, but I think he has the talent, and with Andrew Luck and that offensive line, he could definitely break out.
He has a zero-tolerance policy, and I love it. So does Dave. That is great stuff, Mike. Appreciate you coming on tonight. Good luck in Pros vs. Joes. We'll be covering your draft live right here on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour a week from Sunday. That is going to be a highly entertaining draft. Good luck in all of your drafts this year, and congratulations on all your success that you've achieved across all platforms, throughout your fantasy sports history, be it football or any other sport. Really appreciate you coming on the show this week. We look forward to talking to you again soon. And good luck in 2019, dude.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
Mike Edelman. Follow him on Twitter at Edelman24, a multiple winner of the Football Guys Players Championship Leagues.
Why didn't we ask him if he ever addressed Julian Edelman a lot because of his name?
I thought that would be low-hanging fruit. And so I did not do that.
We go with the hard-hitting questions of what do you do? What do you do for a living?
Yeah. Oh,
it's the same question.
We delve deep, man. We delve deep. Listen. Anybody could, that's the layup question. Okay.
Yeah,
we want to
definitely lay it out.
We want to figure out why this guy thinks the way he does. Why, Dave? Why is he not a risk taker? Why is he not? Why is he so averse to taking players that are not reporting for training camp?
No. Okay. By the way, so I like Mike. I respect Mike. He provided value opinions. I just can't. I do disagree fundamentally with his idea of taking someone off the board completely, whether it's for, I don't know, holding out for training camp or this or that. I mean, I get the idea of dropping someone on their board, but if it's a 507 and Tyreek Hill, you still don't know the situation, you still take him. You don't take him off your board. If it's Ezekiel Elliott, it's the late second round when he normally goes like 5th or 4th or 6th, even if it's a holdout. That's a value. Take him. So I disagree fundamentally with that. And maybe he wasn't really saying it exactly that way. Like maybe he would consider taking it if it comes super late. But that's just my opinion on that.
That's what I was going to say. I think he was being a bit facetious. I will say that there's certain players like, they're off my board, Dave. I'm not taking them. But to your point, if they're still there 2 rounds later, well, I'm still going to take them. I have to believe that this is true not just of Mike Edelman, but of a lot of fantasy owners that say, this player is off my board, I'm not going to take him. But they say that in the terms of there's no way he will fall to me at a spot I'm comfortable taking him. And in some cases, that's true, most cases, but sometimes they do fall. And sometimes you do have to make a decision like, okay, I know this guy was off my board, but I can't believe he's still out here. The value is screaming at me. This is the type of player that I draft in August or September, and I'm thanking my lucky stars in November that I drafted him. So I think there is something to be said for that. I also agree with him that there is a large plurality of players who, for whatever reason, if they're healing, if they're holding out, suspended, whatever, these players that don't report with everybody else and they try to train on their own, it's just not the same thing. And there is a good number of them that do get hurt. And even if it's not a season ender, it's stuff that puts them behind the 8 ball, and they're constantly chasing the degree to which they thought they would be able to play this season. You're constantly chasing the fantasy value that you thought you were going to get with them, and it's just bad news. And then you know what happens at the end of the year? People say, I'm never drafting that guy again, because of stuff like that. So I think he makes a lot of good points. He's probably not, and I can't believe I'm saying this, he's probably not as big of a risk taker as I am, but certainly his career winnings speak for themselves, no question on that.
By the way, do you remember you're younger than I am. Remember Ken Rutgers that we were talking about?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He used to hold out every training camp.
Yep.
And we talked about this possibly maybe in episode 156 or something, but I'll bring it up now. He'd always hold out just because he didn't feel like going to training camp, and then he would always report, like, right before the season would start. He never got hurt, but he was a lineman. So
great left tackle for the Packers.
He was fantastic.
Yeah.
He would just come in and be like, all right, I'm good, let's go.
And nobody ever treated his holdout seriously. Nobody ever thought that he wasn't eventually going to report. And there was never any kind of financial demands ever, really made. And every year the guy would show up, and every year he did great work. That he was a lineman for the Packers during some dark times in the 80s, and he was
dark.
Yeah, they were dark times.
I mean, when you lose games, I don't know if those are dark.
Oh, they're
times.
dark. They're dark times, my friend. Absolutely.
That's interesting adjective.
They were. It was the.
And it was. People were jumping off the bridges here in the local area.
It was the worst of times, Dave.
Yeah, it was like the dark ages. The duels at the end of the street. With when Dickey was quarterback, and who else was
Randy Wright.
Rich Campbell.
Rich Campbell was a little bit. That was like early 80s. I think he was
all stuck back then.
Yeah, he was bad. But yeah, I mean, there was like one radio guy covering the Packers. There was one newspaper guy covering the Packers, and all of a sudden they get this guy named Favre, and it totally blows up. And good times were had by all. Let's move on. Football guys, Roto World and Rob are responsible for tonight's rundown. We want to thank those guys. According to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Coach Dan Quinn believes that
Dan the man.
Yes, Austin Hooper is, quote, ready to go to another level with his play in 2019. The Falcons have a new tight ends coach this year, Mike Mularkey, and apparently they've hit it off well. Hooper, last year,
nice.
71 catches, 660 yards, and 4 touchdowns, Dave. That was a pretty good year for him. I actually had him in a few leagues. I was pleasantly surprised. Actually traded him in a dynasty league after this season. I was pretty happy to get what I got for him. But Austin Hooper, you look at this guy this year. I drafted him actually in the Scott Fish Bowl.
He was, Hooper was actually one of the guys with roster cuts on the dynasty. Someone cut Hooper.
In FFPC?
Yeah, in FFPC.
Wow.
So I emailed him. I'm like, hey, do you mean to cut him? And he's like, yeah, he sucks.
I love it.
He's like, you didn't like him because he's those stats. My point is, those stats really aren't that impressive yet. They really aren't, right?
Apparently not to everybody. Austin Hooper is the tight end 11 in FFPC drafts right now, Dave. He is going behind the likes of Eric Ebron, Vance McDonald, and David Njoku, but players are still drafting him well ahead of Trey Burton, Kyle Rudolph, Delaney Walker, and Mark Andrews.
Where did he finish last year? I'm guessing he finished as like tight end 6, right? Or did you say that right?
I did not say that, but
it's in that neighborhood.
He was up there.
It was such an awful year. It was a dark year for tight ends.
It was really bad. It was a wasteland. And in a wasteland of a tight end premium scoring format, Austin Hooper didn't really wow you with his 4 touchdowns.
I'm trying to look it up right now.
That's fine. He was pretty good with his 660 yards receiving, but where he really helped FFPC players, 1.5 per catch, and he got 71 of them last year. That was big.
Yeah,
and that
tight end 6.
Tight end 6
on a point basis.
And by the way, that's on a team that had Julio Jones had a pretty good year last year. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, he did really well. And actually, Julio, he put me in my place. He started scoring touchdowns.
Right, exactly. And who else scored touchdowns on that team?
Yeah, Calvin
Ridley had 10 of them.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
And Austin Hooper still had a big season. So sky's the limit. I think he climbs up draft boards a little bit.
Hooper was 10th in points per game basis behind guys like Jack Doyle and Ingram and Gronk and O.J. Howard, who all missed time.
Okay, so there you have it. But still, a top 12.
Oh, no, absolutely.
And a guy and that's where FFPC players are taking him right now.
He does have some upside. The news does help him a little bit. Because I always refrained from taking him because I didn't feel there was much upside. And I might actually, if he falls a little bit for me, because I don't play FFPC, because I can't, I might consider taking him actually for once.
But not as your starter, or would you take him as your starter?
If I waited a really, really long time, but usually in non-FFPC, I'll get a higher tight end.
He's my starter in Scott Fish Bowl. I don't feel great about it, but it's okay. We'll see what happens there.
That Fish Bowl, scoring is so whacked out. I mean, tight end is just tough.
Yeah. People say that about the FFPC too, by the way. Jim Wyatt of TitansOnline.com says that the new offensive coordinator there, Arthur Smith, says he intends to, quote, ride contract year Derrick Henry at running back. In January, Derrick Henry turned 25. Hey, listen, I just read the quotes. I don't make them. He is coming off a big-time finish the last season. We talked about this with Mike Edelman earlier. 625 yards, 8 touchdowns on 97 carries in their 5 December games. Now, we don't know much about Arthur Smith as a coordinator. I believe, if I'm correct in saying this, I think he was their tight ends coach last year. So obviously you would think that Tennessee is going to stick with what worked at the end of the 2018 season. And if you look at what they have at the quarterback position, Dave, it's less than flattering, I think would be a complimentary or the least offensive way I can describe Marcus Mariota. Currently, Derrick Henry going at the 309 in FFPC, Jess, and as I counted out here, that makes him the running back 19. So he is going off as the 19th running back at the 309. This is behind Marlon Mack, Kerryon Johnson, and Devontae Freeman. Josh Jacobs, Kenyon Drake, and David Montgomery going after him. There's one thing I don't like about Derrick Henry's game, and it's probably going to be the thing that keeps me from drafting him in a decent number of leagues this year. I'll give you one guess as to what that is.
His pass catching?
Does not catch the football, Dave.
He does catch. How many passes does he catch?
Let's look it up.
Does that mean me or you?
I'm looking it up right now.
You're telling me like Alex. Hey, let's see what we should do here. Alex, does that mean I should do it? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Dave, go ahead and do that.
If you want to take care of it.
All right, I'll put it to you, Dave.
Put it to me.
How many catches did he have last year?
27.
He had 26 catches in his last 2 years in the NFL combined.
Oh shoot, really?
He had 15 last year. He had 11 the year before.
Wow, he only had 15.
Yeah, 39 catches in his NFL career. His middle name is Lamar. I'm just finding that out as well.
Nice name.
Yeah, so for me to take to take a running back that caught 15 passes last year at the end of the third round, I'm going to find somebody else. I'm going to find somebody with a little bit more upside.
Let me ask you this though: did you own? And I had a similar question last week, but did you own Derrick Henry at all?
I did not. No, I did not.
Dude, if you owned Derrick Henry last year, I mean.
Well, okay, let's talk about that for a second because for a lot of guys and gals and women that did own Derrick Henry last year. I'm very sorry to our female listeners. Derrick Henry was great down the stretch, but how many teams needed him then? How many teams were playing for something?
That's an artificial narrative, though. It really has nothing to do with whether he's going to be productive this year.
I'm not saying that, but when you're talking about did you own him last year? Well, people who owned him last year had to love it. I'm like, well, yeah, they probably did, but were they playing for third place? Were they playing to you know what I mean?
I mean, they already admitted that they kind of underutilized him last year. So let's just go back through this. Where is he being drafted?
By the way, to your point, not your point that you're making, but an anti-point of mine, Blitzdomania in the chat room, the defending 2019 Kentucky Fantasy Football State champion, Derrick Henry won him Kentucky last year.
Nice.
So it did win the national contest. Well, the thing is, those guys are such great drafters, Danny Mueller and Jeremy Roach. I mean, they were loaded. It's just not fair for them to have Derrick Henry down the stretch. Go ahead.
So Derrick Henry last year finished as RB16. And where's he being drafted right now?
Running back 19.
Running back 19. So he finished 16th last year. Now, albeit with some, there's some players who had a little bit higher points per game base, but not many. So he finished 16th overall last year. He's being drafted 3 spots later. And the team admittedly misused him. They even said, we misused him in the early part of the year. Let me just read you weeks 1 through.
And by the way, the guy that misused him now is the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. So he got a promotion for misusing him. Yeah. Cram it up your cram hole.
I got to get that quote right. Anyway, so Henry, weeks 1 through 6. This is Aaron Jones, maybe a little bit of a scary thought. 4.1, 6, 5.7, 5, 5.6, 3.6. So but yet he averaged 12.8 fantasy points per game. For the season, I mean, he had a 48-point game week 14 and a 30-point game week 15, and then a 16-point game week 16. He was killing it once they figured out how to use him, and he was a super highly touted, respected back coming out. I'm high on Derrick Henry.
Dave, let's put on our glasses here and read between the lines. What did Tennessee do in the offseason? They used the second-round pick on A.J. Brown after they had just used the number 5 overall pick on Corey Davis a couple years ago, and they also went out and signed Adam Humphries. Now, are you concerned that this
Humphries, what was the person you mentioned first? I'm sorry.
A.J. Brown. Right. They drafted in the second round. Are you concerned that this nonverbal statement that the Tennessee Titans have made about their offense is at all alarming for anybody who's thinking about drafting Derrick Henry in the mid to late third?
No, I don't. And you know the reason why? Because the nonverbal statement, I know that they say that the only time they're telling the truth is during the draft and the free agency, but when they're coming out and just saying, look, I'm the offensive coordinator. I intend to ride Derrick Henry and give him a ton of carries and a ton of action, not catches necessarily. But Henry, they may throw it to him a little bit more. I mean, they can't throw too much less. How's that? So.
I guess, I don't doubt that they're going to throw the ball more this year. I just think that with the addition of Humphreys and A.J. Brown, there might be something there. But you're right. I mean, the OC came out and said, like, look, we're going to ride him. He's in a contract year. Maybe that's the thing, Dave. Maybe they're going to, give him 350 touches this year and then let him go to free agency.
I mean, that is possible.
And then and it's a super deep running back rich rookie class next year too. Blitzdemania in the chat room saying that he has Derrick Henry projected for 28 catches on the season, which is more than he's gotten in the last 2 years combined. But I will not cast stones at that because they kicked my tail in Louisville. Moving on, Pro Football Talk on NBCSports.com wrote this week, or they had a post, that a source close to Rob Gronkowski puts his chances of playing at some point this season at about 40%. Gronk has already said he's lost 18 pounds, and there's no way he's going to be coming back and playing training camp in the preseason. That's not going to happen, even if he is coming back. Did you see, I think it was at the ESPYs, he was talking to Drew Brees, and I tried to hear what he was saying. He's probably just joking around. But he said something to Brees, and then he said, what looks to me that he said was, nah, I'm coming back. And then he and Drew Brees started laughing. No, he said something to the fact like, that's what I'm hoping to happen. So, yeah, I'm coming back. Or, nah, I'm coming back. And then they both started laughing. So, I don't know, man. I mean, he's lost a lot of weight. I read that he hasn't lifted a weight since the season ended. I'm going to pose this to you, and then I'm going to tell you what happened in a recent Football Guys draft. I think it was last night that I think Blitzdemania was actually in. Would you take Rob Gronkowski in a tight end premium format, 20-round Football Guys type league?
20 rounds.
20 rounds. Would you find a spot for Rob Gronkowski?
I might not.
You might not. Let me tell you what somebody did in the 11th round of a Football Guys league last night.
They took him.
I believe it was the 1101.
Blitzdemania, you're crazy.
It wasn't Blitzdemania. It wasn't Blitzdemania. I'll tell you that right now. But it was somebody in that draft. I'm not going to say who it was. But he went in the 11th round.
He said the 10th, Jeremy. So.
He went in the 10th round. Like I said. So 10th round for Gronk. I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Hey, that's why it's worth it to play these leagues. You get one pick worth of value right there.
Rob Gronkowski, by the way, and I'll just say this: over the last 3 days, he has been selected in 12 FFPC best ball drafts, going on average at the 2308, then as high as the 1602. There's some smoke gathering around Rob Gronkowski. Now, whether that's weed, I don't know. But there is something
there. I don't think he does any of that stuff. I really don't.
I just know he
goes to every party, and he drinks, like, water and, like, Red Bull.
I saw him pounding beers at the Patriots Super Bowl parade. Yeah, people are launching him at him. He was chugging them.
Well, okay, that's at the one parade, that's at the parade.
Well, I'm just saying.
A lot of times he's at these, like, places and events, and he's clearly not drinking.
He's just high on life.
I'm a smiley dork.
That's nice. Yahoo's Charles Robinson has reported that Ezekiel Elliott has to come to training camp by August 6th to make sure that he gets an accrued season toward free agency. Right now,
when?
By August 6th. Okay. Right now, Elliott is going to be an unrestricted free agent after next season, but if he does hold out past August 6th, that won't be the case anymore. He could get the fourth accrued season next year, but if he holds out deep into training camp, that is going to change. Charles Robinson, for what it's worth, says he believes that Elliott is going to decide against holding out. How do you see this situation, and what should FFPC players be doing with Elliott, Tony Pollard, the rest of the ragtag bunch of Dallas running backs, Dave?
I think I'm of the opinion that you will report, or that they'll at least figure it out. There's been speculation as to whether Pollard's the backup or Weber's the backup. I don't really have a great read on it, although I thought it was Pollard, but I can't say for sure.
I think FFPC players would agree with you on that.
That's Pollard.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't know. I would just kind of treat him the same as I would otherwise, and draft Pollard at some point if I try to handcuff him.
Right. Out of 21 FFPC best ball drafts in the last 3 days, the latest Elliott has gone has been the 104. So players are not or at least they don't seem to be outwardly concerned about this. For what it's worth, Tony Pollard going at the 18-12 in FFPC draft, Mike Weber not going until the 26th round of FFPC best ball. So that is your weekly Zeke update. We'll call it the Zupdate. And we'll keep bringing that to you each and every week that he holds out, because that is a crucial part that will not only shape the first round of FFPC drafts, but FFPC drafts in general. All right.
Nothing new on Melvin Gordon, speaking of holdout?
No, I haven't seen anything. I will tell you this, Dave.
Yes, sir. Let's hear it.
I can't remember what it was. If it was Outkick the Coverage, or there's some sort of vlog series.
That was a catchy little blank the blank.
They interviewed a bunch of...
Although, by the way, establish a run, that sounds kind of interesting that Evan Silva's doing.
Yeah, no, and best wishes to him. We'll talk more about that for Pros versus Joes on the 28th when he drafts. But yeah, very exciting stuff. Congratulations to him. They were interviewing mostly rookies, but there were some veterans in there. And I want to say it was like Outkick the Coverage or some site like that.
Some crap.
And they were about whether these players believe that aliens exist, whether we're alone in this universe. And
those are the hard-hitting questions we don't have on our end.
No, we don't. Yeah. And I believe one of the players they talked to was Melvin Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
And he not only said that we're not alone, he said he's not from this planet, that he was from Mars, that he is in fact an alien, and did not have a hint of a smile on his face.
Mm-hmm.
Now this begs the question, Dave.
What level whack job is he?
Has Melvin Gordon
moved up 2 levels?
Has Melvin Gordon entered the flake scale?
Yeah, he moved up. He's like 3rd level flake.
3rd level flake?
Yeah.
Is he higher or lower than Le'Veon Bell? I think right now he's higher.
Even. I haven't gone even.
I think I put him a little high. What about Antonio Brown?
Brown's kind of the same. Again, like 3rd level.
Yeah. I'd put Gordon slightly below him, but this holdout thing, the alien thing, and the fact that, by the way, he may have his best football already done.
Who?
Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, maybe.
And
he
wants to get paid, obviously. Going in FFPC drafts right now, he's fallen actually to the 201. He's fallen all the way to the 211 in one draft in the last 3 days, which is pretty insane. But I think that there's something to this holdout thing, and people are starting to pay attention to it. Austin Eckler has gone as high as the 707. He's going on average at the 809, Dave. And then Justin Jackson, another guy who's been climbing up boards, going in the 12th round in FFPC drafts, on average the 15th, but he has gone as high as the 12th round. So something that we'll be paying attention to, no question, on this show, especially once training camp gets underway.
By the way, I just made you a trade offer in Carrington. I own Melvin Gordon, and I just placed...
I didn't know that.
Yep, and I just offered it to you for 2 first-round picks. 2020 first-round picks.
Hey, let me ask you this.
One of them is yours, actually. Your team's pretty good, so I don't know if I want to do that.
My team is terrible in Carrington.
Oh, good. Oh, well, even better. Then I want to get that pick.
Hilarious.
So 2 picks, your pick in Monroeville Zombies, but it could be any of the 3 picks.
Okay.
2 of the 3.
I'll look at it. Blitzmania chiming in. AB is a flake. He dyed his mustache blonde again. He's back on the crazy train.
Hey, let me ask you, why is there a T after Blitz? Why is it Blitztomania? Why isn't it just Blitzomania? What's with the T?
That's an old Phoenix. And I'll let him.
Blitztomania?
No. I'll let Blitztomania chime in on this. But I believe that was in old Phoenix. The French.
Phoenix.
Yeah, it's they're
like they're
a French alt rock band. I'm dead serious, and I think Jeremy's a fan.
Are they similar to the 5 Finger Discount Band?
No, they're not. They're way more poppy, no question.
Popular?
Pop music.
Oh.
Listomania, and Phoenix is the band. Yeah.
Oh, now yeah. Okay.
So that's what it was. So that's why the T is there.
All right, thanks.
Let me ask you this, drawing back to fantasy. I've been in heavy Todd Gurley discussions in one of my dynasty leagues with another player.
Acquiring or selling?
Acquiring. I have the 101 in that league, and that was basically the offer. It was built around the 101 for Gurley. There's some other picks thrown in, but it was essentially I get the
Kentucky.
I get the 101, or excuse me, I get Todd Gurley, and he gets the 101. What would you rather have?
Okay, so who's the 101?
Jacobs or N'Keal?
It's been so long.
Jacobs or N'Keal Harry?
And of course, it actually should be either Isabella or Murray, but regardless.
Kyler Murray, they asked about aliens, too. He actually had a well-thought-out answer. He's like, man, I don't know. We might be. I hope we're not. I'd like to meet those people or whatever.
I like Murray, man. He's
very
cool.
Introspective answer.
That's good. He's been interviewed half a billion times. Man, I actually think Gurley is probably worth a little bit more than the 2019 101.
I did indeed decline it, and I've since lost sleep over it. I've laid in bed a couple. I have no problem. Like, I work out a lot. I work a lot, and so within the last 2 or 3 years, I've had no problems falling asleep at night. Man, my head hits the pillow, I'm out. But after this Gurley thing, I'm like, did I really give up the chance to get Todd Gurley on my team because I didn't want to part with Josh Jacobs? Did I really do that? So I don't know. I may have to revisit it. But we'll see going forward. Let's answer some emails and help some real people out here, Dave. John in Greenwood, South Carolina is first up. With Duke Johnson rumored to be a possibility for Tampa Bay, what are you going to do in drafts with him, Jones, and Barber? That is John in Greenwood, South Carolina. All right. So did you see this rumor that Duke Johnson could be traded to Tampa off of the Browns? I don't know if you saw that or not, but that is a thing, apparently. It was reported on by somebody reputable.
Duke Johnson
to the Bucks.
Sure.
Okay. So now, what would you do with him in drafts right now? Is he a target? Well, and I'll tell you this right now before I, so you actually have some context here. Dave, Duke Johnson in FFPC best balls over the last 3 days going at the 1504, and thanks to FantasyMojo.com for all this great FFPC data.
I'm not really that interested in Duke Johnson.
Even in the 15th round?
No.
Okay. Can you expound on that?
Yeah, I can. Well, first of all, if he stays with the Browns,
right.
First of all, he's disgruntled, so the team doesn't really want to use him. Nick Chubb can actually catch.
We like gruntled players.
Yeah, I want you to be gruntled. But Nick Chubb, he can actually catch passes. Especially, there's the big touts of Nick Chubb, like Matt Waldman thinks he's a great pass-catching back. And then after week 8, you have Kareem Hunt coming back from the dead.
Right.
And so then what is Duke Johnson's role? It might be, 0. So now what are you pinning your hopes on a trade or getting 8 weeks of somewhat production off of a pissed-off player? I don't know. I don't really get it. I know it's a really good offense, but we're in line to seeing that offense. You have Njoku, Beckham,
Landry.
You might even be behind Callaway, for God's sake.
What
is that, fifth on the totem pole?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just not interested in Duke Johnson. You can get. I'm trying to think of the players that are available there.
Would you like to tell me some, or would you like me to tell you?
Yeah,
some?
you can. I'm guessing.
Kalen Ballage, Chase Edmonds, Jalen Richard, Devin Singletary, all going right before him. Guys,
so Jalen Richard has standalone value, I think, with Josh Jacobs, and if Jacobs gets hurt. At the FSGA, Jacobs was there and he was being interviewed, and he said that he definitely said Richard is the backup. So Richard's a nice pick there. I think Ballage is not a good pick. I think that it's Kenyon Drake's job, and that they were having rumors about him not catching passes. So I have no interest in Ballage. Who are the other two?
Chase Edmonds.
Chase Edmonds is solid. He actually sounds like he'd be a really good back, but you really do need David Johnson to get hurt. So I think that's just a flyer. But it could be, can he win me the league? Well, possibly if David Johnson gets hurt, or if you own David Johnson, he is a solid bell cow back. It won't be as good as Johnson, but he's going to get a lot of carries.
And the other one was Devin Singletary, the guy who's 30 years younger than every other running back in the backfield.
Not that interested in the Buffalo backfield because there's like 4 or 5 options, so I'd probably pass on.
Offensive line's not as good there as it was last year either. Just to a couple of names, Dave, that are going after Duke Johnson that I think you might like better than him: Chris Thompson and Justin Jackson.
Yeah, Chris Thompson for sure I would. I know Adrian Peterson's probably moving up. I like Adrian Peterson quite a bit in general, actually. I don't know as much about Justin Jackson. I guess so, though. If you're getting Justin Jackson off of rumors of Gordon not reporting, he's still behind Eckler, so I don't know. I don't really like Justin Jackson.
Okay, all right. What about Jamal Williams? This will be the last one that we bring up here because
don't like him either because he has to deal with Dexter Williams. And he's also
that was my question.
He's a low athleticism player versus 2 high athleticism players now.
For what it's worth, Jamal Williams catches more passes, and he's a better pass pro guy in that offense too. Just saying.
Then who? Aaron Jones? Or
Yes.
Okay. Well, those are valid points.
Now I say that I took Aaron Jones with the Scott Fishbowl. It didn't even enter my mind to back him up with Jamal Williams. And I wasn't even all that crazy about Dexter Williams either. So. We'll see what happens there. But as far as Peyton Barber, Ronald Jones, you're drafting him the same way you were before. This Duke Johnson thing doesn't affect you at all there.
You know, it doesn't affect me, but I can see where some people would be like getting paused a little bit. I think I still like Rojo, but I think Peyton Barber is worth a look too. I mean, somebody's got to get the rushing yards on that team. I just don't know who it's going to be necessarily.
Vince in San Francisco, Dave. What's up, Gerzak and Balkman? Bill Barnwell called Robert Foster the most important wide receiver for Buffalo. Do you guys think that applies to fantasy too? Thanks, dudes. That is Vince in San Francisco.
I do not.
You do not? Okay. Can I guess who the most important receiver is in Buffalo then for you?
For me, yeah, sure.
Zay Jones?
Yeah, that'll be easy, Zay Jones.
Oh, why is it easy?
Well, he's a third-year player. He's actually done reasonably all right his first 2 seasons. Not great, but not bad. Granted,
but not great.
Went crazy with the glass in the hotel and being nude and so forth.
Right,
That's a problem. No, but that's been, he's now back down to third-level play from the second level. But I mean, he has a potential for being a third-year breakout. I mean, his stats. I know everyone is all about the second-year breakout, but people, wide receivers do break out third year every once in a while.
Right.
I think Zay Jones has a shot at being that player.
Dave, if I tell you, and what I'm going to tell you is accurate, Robert Foster is going at the 1805 in FFPC best balls right now.
Okay.
Where do you think you can get Zay Jones on average if Foster's going in the 18th?
What you're doing is anchoring me right now, which is a problem. I'm not supposed to be anchored here. So Zay Jones, I think Zay Jones.
Just float, man.
He goes around, I would say around the 20th.
He does not.
Damn it.
He is the first Buffalo receiver off the board. 1602.
Nasty.
Now, you know what Buffalo receiver is going in round 24 that I think I'd be on board with at that price?
No.
Cole Beasley.
Oh, yeah, you know what, that's
the real Leroy special.
Yeah, Beasley, and plus Beasley is all bitter and pissed off and everything, and Beasley can't be covered, man. He's a pretty darn good player.
I guess what doesn't work in his favor is Josh Allen.
Doesn't see a scramble he can't want to take.
I don't know. I just feel like he's more likely to throw the ball through Cole Beasley rather than complete a pass. Yeah. He's that, and that's I think what plays into Jones and Foster, and not we should. What Buffalo receiver we didn't mention that should have should have a field day. The dude who's going right in between Zay Jones and Robert Foster in the 17th round, and that's John Brown, which I know you don't want to take him because of his injury issues.
Plus he's a deep threat mostly. He's not really been doing much. He just hasn't done anything since the 1 year he had a pretty good year. But
No, I'm with you. I won't take him.
I mean, when you Robert Foster, okay, so you have to deal with Zay Jones, John Brown, Cole Beasley, and he's technically fourth on the depth chart at receiver. I mean, and this is a low volume, not very good passing offense. I don't know what's so great about him. I don't get it.
But I mean, to that end, what's so great about any of these guys? I guess value at this point.
Well, I mean, okay, what's so great is that the guys that are starting are going to be better than the guys that are not. So the question is Robert Foster going to be on the field more than Zay Jones or John Brown?
Probably not.
Or Beasley? I don't think so. So what's so great about him? I mean,
maybe they move Foster to tight end. But they don't really
over Dawson.
Yeah, they don't really have a good answer there right now.
Well, that's the thing is this is actually one reason it makes the receiver compelling is their tight end situation is so rough that they are actually looking at starting Dawson Knox as a rookie. They have Tyler Croft who's injured, Jason Kroom, Lee Smith, and a bunch of other crap. So that's also interesting.
You know who else they could throw at tight end? And I think he'd probably pick up the position pretty quick, just because I'm pretty sure he will never not be able to do anything. Frank Gore. Throw him in at tight end, make him an H-back. He'll do just fine. And he'll probably do it for the next decade. All right, one final email we have tonight, Dave, that I want to get to. This is one you should probably be doing, but we'll see. Tim in Little Rock. Dear Larry and Anquan. Any guesses? Larry and Anquan.
Larry Fitzgerald and Anquan Bolden.
And his email. I hear you guys talk about the Cardinals a lot, but could you play a Yaman or 9 with them so I know which of them to target in drafts this season? Appreciate you. That is Tim in Little Rock. We appreciate you, Tim.
I'm a little chunkier.
I thought I'd be Anquan because it's Florida State.
Well, that's a good point. But I was saying, you have such a high GPA through college, Balky. Granted, it was radio, TV, film, and journalism major, so I mean, it doesn't really count.
I did take Gen Ed, too.
But Larry Fitzgerald graduated from college, too, the University of Phoenix Online.
That's
He's
true.
a very, very smart, wise, sage-ish person.
Okay, I'll take it.
Fine, you can be Bowling, Florida State. Whatever.
Perfect. I'd rather have that. The guy who had his face broke and he still played. All right.
That was the most badass thing ever.
Yes, it really was. So Rob is going to wheel out the old Yamaha 9 machine here.
I don't know if it's still in operation.
Dust off these buttons here, Dave, and you can fire when ready with whatever Cardinal skill position guy that you want. I don't know if there's a tight end to talk about. We certainly could if you want. But
don't worry. We're going to get into all of them.
Specifically, quarterbacks, running backs, and receivers in any particular order, and go.
Charles Clay.
You always hit me with the heavy hitters right now. Wait, serious question.
Yeah.
Cliff Kingsbury didn't really utilize tight end a whole lot at Texas Tech, did he?
I don't know.
That was the only thing I remember.
I think if he had, like Jason Morrow in college was a really good tight end. I think if he has a guy like Jason Morrow, he's going to use the hell out of him.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So he's one of the smart coaches that coach based on their personnel, not trying to get their personnel to fit what they do.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, good.
Thanks a lot, McCarthy. Ricky Seals-Jones.
Nine.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, well, okay, let's frame this a little bit. Ricky Seals-Jones currently going in the 22nd round. Okay, that's fine if I totally miss on tight ends. But, honestly, Hayden Hurst, Ben Watson, Dawson Knox are all going after him. I might rather have all three of those guys than Seals-Jones.
Josh Oliver, too, maybe. Anyway, David Johnson, let's make an easy one for you.
Yeah, man.
No question. Blitzdomania made the point in the chat room about how he thinks David Johnson should be picked higher than Ezekiel Elliott this year, and I think I might agree with him on that. There's a lot of positive momentum going DJ's way. And where's Ezekiel Elliott on the flake scale? Level 2? Level 3?
Oh, dude, he's level 2 after what he did in that parking lot to that security guy.
Come on. They're trying to extort him.
Elliott is a piece of crap. Anyway.
I shouldn't laugh, but...
With Cankle.
Yeah. Does he have cankles? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, here and there. Chase Edmonds.
Yeah, man.
All right. I like
yeah,
that.
no, I'm on board. I mean, you don't have to pay a lot to get him, and if David Johnson goes down, he won't be the bell cow, but he'll get a lot of touches in that offense.
Yeah, a lot of times I don't believe in handcuffing because, like, for example...
Even if I don't draft David Johnson, I'm still on board with that.
I like Chase Edmonds, he's a good standalone guy, but I really like him for sure if you draft David Johnson. I think he's good. But if you draft like Aaron Jones, you have to do it with two guys. So here you have Chase Edmonds, that's it. All right, moving on to the receivers. Kevin White. What? Nine.
I always think I know who you're going to say, and I have the button already, and then I got to switch it.
All right, Christian Kirk.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
You want to take a guess at his ADP right now in FFPC best ball?
701.
704. Nice job. You are dialed in, my friend.
All right. Fitzgerald, Larry Fitzgerald, Hall of Famer.
Yeah, man.
Passer, but not by bulky.
I think I've done 3 drafts so far this year, and I've drafted Fitz in all 3 of them.
Wow, that's pretty cool. He's pretty reasonable, right? 10 plus.
Yeah, everybody hates on him, and maybe it's because this is his swan song or whatever. But 10-11 in FFPC drafts right now. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean,
if I was Fitzgerald, I would walk up to Kyler Murray and be like, "Yo, dog, I still make more than you per year. So what do you think of that?" Throwing the damn ball.
2 guys that are going ahead of him that I'd much rather have Fitzgerald than Marvin Jones and Cortland Sutton. Golden Tate, I'd rather have Fitzgerald. And then you have interesting guys like...
Actually, I would take Fitz over Marvin Jones and Sutton myself.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, you would?
Yeah, I'm saying those guys are going ahead of Fitzgerald, but I would take Fitz over both of them.
Okay, good. I agree with you.
What about 2 guys going ahead of Fitzgerald? Kiki QT?
I have a thing for QT. I think he's going to be good. I like him.
I think he'll be good for the 4 games he plays this year.
Yeah, you know what? I'll take Fitz. You got to rely on Fitzgerald because QT gets hurt all the time, and that's ridiculous.
I would too. And then the last one, Fitz or Curtis Samuel?
I'm taking Samuel. I like Samuel a lot as a third-year breakout. He really broke out last year, too, somewhat.
I may be stuck in my ways, but I'm taking Fitz over Samuel there.
Okay,
go ahead. You saving the cherry on top for last year?
Hakeem Butler.
Oh, you're saving the poop for right now.
Nine.
Wait a minute. Matt Waldman's number two, not receiver, but overall player in this post-scouting, post-draft rookie scouting portfolio. Balky, how is that possible?
I totally agree with you. He is number 2. No question. Absolutely no question
He's
there.
a little raw. So did we do everybody else except for the one?
Yeah, hold on. Just to expound on this,
Go ahead.
maybe Butler's good. That's fine. But for what round was he taking in? Round 4, round 5?
His first pick in round 4.
I mean, every team in the NFL passed on him at a minimum of 3 times.
Yeah, or they could have traded up to get him.
I mean,
it's not that expensive to get a late third.
And he was drafted after Andy Isabella.
Oh yeah, by about 60 picks.
I don't see it. And maybe the talent is there and maybe he crushes it, but man, it's not worth trying to see him fight his way up that depth chart when you're trying to play for a 6-figure grand prize. It's not worth it in my opinion.
All right. Obviously, I agree with you.
Yeah, man.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said Andy Isabella. Sorry.
I'm curious as to where, because it's funny. Now, so we'll bring up Isabella, but in dynasty drafts and these rookie drafts, I mean, it was a 2 weeks after. Hakeem Butler was going like 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah. Yes, he was.
Isabella was going at the 201 to like 207, 208. Yeah. That's got to have flipped by now. So let me give you Andy Isabella. Be great. Andy Isabella.
Yeah, man.
He has his own drugs machine. He's fast. He's a honky. He's Andy Isabella.
He's okay. So serious question.
He's Italian.
No,
he's Andy Isabella.
What if his and I'm gonna get the PC police on me here now. What if his name wasn't Andy Isabella? What if it was like Andrew Williams?
And
he didn't go to UMass. He went to like,
It would have to be a similar caliber school though, like Abilene Christian.
Okay, Abilene Christian. Perfect.
Right. Like where like Sharkhandrick West.
And Daryl Richardson. Okay.
And Taylor Gabriel.
Taylor Gabriel.
Right. Is that Abilene or is it?
No, although I don't know about Taylor Gabriel, but I know Daryl Richardson and Sharkhandrick West went there.
And he ran a 4, and this dude
all the same stats.
4.31 40. Got drafted in the late second round.
And he's black.
Okay.
And
he's 5'8.5" or 5'8 3/4" and 189.
You know who people?
Which is about the same size as the icon.
You know who people would be calling him?
Yeah, Steve Smith.
No. They'd be calling him Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, seriously, that's so true. It's the anti-racist.
Yeah, I get. Well,
they're being racist without admitting it.
Technically, we're being a little racist with our little analogy here, but yeah,
fine, in a good way.
But I mean, there is something to be said for this. Now, what's the?
Because they're favoring, they're saying if you're darker skinned, you're must be, better.
All right, so let me ask you this, Dave. If there is one thing that worries you about Andy Isabella this year, what is it? If you can only pick one.
He said he's going to break too many records, Balky.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about for redraft.
Redraft, yes.
I would say that there's a chance he doesn't get targeted often enough. I mean, because you have Fitzgerald, which commands target, and the whole offense, with the exception of the aforementioned Hakeem Butler, these receivers, they talk about Isabella being good outside, inside. They're going to actually probably play him outside. It sounds like quite a bit.
Right.
But they kind of have 3 slot receivers. I mean, Christian Kirk is also going to play outside, but he could play a slot. But that's really about. I mean, really, there's not a.
No injury concerns?
No.
Okay.
I mean, no more than anyone else. He's never been hurt. He has an incredible work ethic. He was the MVP. I mean, I don't know if he was the MVP, but he should have been the MVP.
He was great in the Senior Bowl.
In the Senior Bowl, and he crushed it. I mean, if you watch the Senior Bowl highlights, you're like, okay, this person who's small, whatever, is clearly a man among boys playing here. He's just kicking the crap out of everybody else. The touchdown was great. Touchdown was like DJ Moore, where he breaks all those tackles. He's going to be a fantastic player. I know I keep saying it every week, but.
And the great thing is,
he's so cheap in redraft. He's like a 17th round pick, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll look at. I have for best ball right here for Andy Isabella, and he is going at 1802 right now. And by the way, we haven't brought this up. Cliff Kingsbury is going to make sure that offense runs a crap load more plays this year, and they could be involved in some shootouts too. Not even bringing that up. That's working in Andy Isabella's favor as well.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are signing off for now. And you say, oh, Balky, no, what am I going to do Friday? You're going to have to make do.
Rock USA.
But as my way of apologizing to you for not doing a show Friday, let's do a show Sunday. That's right. We're kicking off the 2019 FFPC Pros versus Joes. It is League number 1. Yes. 8-7 Central for the No Pain League number 1. Former HSFFR guests Ryan Poole, Jay Reed, Scott Connor, Kimmer Schlischer, Rich Lane, Lou Tranquilli will all be drafting live. Pros feature guys from NFL.com, Grant Barfield, Gary Davenport, Mike Tagliere, Davis Maddock is going to be drafting in that league as well. That is all at 8, 7 Central right here Sunday night. We'll have the live draft board going at youtube.com/highstakesfantasyfootball as well. Thanks to Mike Edelman. Thanks to Dave Gerzak. Thanks to the FFPC, Rob Bryce, and, of course, each and every one of you. Check out those Maiden Dynasties. I know I kind of glossed over it.
Two-packer and Blitztomania.
Oh, two-packer and Blitztomania hanging out in the chat room tonight. Actually, two-packer, I'm going to have to talk trade with him for Dynasty and see if what he's going to give me for the Ronald Jones Peyton Barber package in Carrington so I can make the total.
I just dealt you Marvin Gordon, whatever the hell his name is.
Oh, Melvin Gordon, I got to look at that too. Maybe I can make it a 3-way deal and see if there's any interest in Melvin Gordon.
Melvin Gordon.
We'll see what happens. But in all honesty, check out the Dynasty maiden drafts that are going off. We have some going off tomorrow on Thursday, a bunch on Saturday as well.
And more importantly, I mean, for God's sake, the main event's $500,000.
Yes, $500,000 grand prize for that. Make sure you're getting your draft slot early. Pay off your team by Monday, midnight Pacific, and then you'll get your draft slot on July 29th.
Or buy more teams.
You can do that as well. $350 discount per team. So make sure you're getting those draft slots early. And sign up for the midnight draft tonight on commission. Your early weekend.
This has been another episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com. That was broadcast live and heard around the world. Eric and Dave will be back next week with more analysis, interviews, and advice from a guest much smarter than they are. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk with you again next week.
We're on Team Explorer, even more so if we on tour. Me and E explore the country, wondering about the evening before. Trying to explain where the time went, while other rappers find a studio to grind in.
You know, I had such a busy day today, because we had to do the show tonight. And Rock USA this weekend, so I'm trying to work ahead and make sure all my stuff is done. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. The midnight draft tonight, I'll have that on one of my machines. I'll be doing some work on the other one. Not one person signed up for the midnight draft tonight. I thought there'd at least be 3 or 4 teams that we get some.
They went into the second 10 p.m. draft. I'll be sorry about that.
Oh, well, it is what it is. I guess we'll make do, and we'll fill another midnight draft shortly. Thanks for listening, everybody, on a Wednesday night. I certainly appreciate it, Dave. Thanks for doing the show on a Wednesday night, and we will talk to you Sunday night for Pros versus Joes, baby. It's going to be great. Talk to you then.